Hello, class. So I wanted to give you a quick introduction to the required writing assignment that we have for our history class. In the past, we've done research papers, but in this day and age of AI generators like ChatGTP and others, it is far too easy for students to just simply let the generator write the paper for them. And so the history department has moved towards having your writing assignment in some way supervised. Since this is an online class, what we will be doing is we're going to do our writing assignment over a 2-week period. This week, I'm going to kind of teach you what it will be expected on the writing assignment and give you a couple of practice exercises to prepare you for what I will want you to do on your writing paper. And then next week, we will be doing the actual writing assignment. It'll be what we call a DBQ, a document-based question. So what you're going to do next week is you are going to log in just like you did on the midterm, and you're going to use the Respondus lockdown browser and monitor. So you'll be supervised the whole time. You won't be able to access other web pages or books or anything else. You'll have to write from what I give you on the document and from your own knowledge. Yes, you should write at a professional level. You should use correct spelling, correct punctuation, but you won't have the access to a spell checker and to checking your grammar like you would on a regular research paper. So although those will count as part of your grade, they'll be a very small fraction of your grade, and I'll be understanding if you slightly misspell something, if it's not perfect, but do use your best grammar. I will provide the documents for you, so you don't have to do the research, you just have the documents. So there'll probably be 4 or 5 documents that I give you. They'll be short. You will look at them or read them and figure out how this information could be used to answer whatever essay question I give you. Then you'll use the documents as your evidence to prove your answer, your thesis, to the essay question that I give you. So, this is what we're going to do this week. I'm going to give you this week first of all, the instructions for how the research paper is going to be done. And what I'm saying in this video, I will break down in detail on the instructions. I will give you, within the instructions, an example of how you would write an essay of this length and how to document things in that essay so that you'll understand how to document it in your paper. And then I'll give you some practice with analyzing a few documents, and I will give you some feedback. And then I will also give you some practice writing your thesis paragraph and outlining your paper, and I will give you some feedback. That's what we'll practice this week. So let me kind of spell out what I'll expect on the paper. I will give you a few documents about a topic, and I will give you an essay question. For instance, if I ask, was it a good choice for the American colonies to declare independence from Britain? Your answer is simply going to be, yes, it was a good choice, or no, it wasn't a good choice. And then you'll give the reasons why it was a good choice or was not a good choice. That's what your whole paper will be. You're not going to do one of these things where it was kind of good and kind of bad. It's a short paper. You don't want or have time to write about it both ways. Pick a side and say it was good or say it was bad, and prove it with the evidence from the documents. The topic that I give you will be something we've covered this year. Maybe something we're covering this week, or it might be something we covered several weeks ago, but you will know generally about this topic if you've been in this class doing your work at all. So that'll give you some background information about the topic. And you can use that as part of your reasons for why it was a good or bad choice. but your main evidence is going to come from the documents that I give you. So the next step is when you're taking the test, you're going to analyze the documents. It won't take long. They will be very short, as you will see with the practice this week. But what you want to do when you look at the document is, first of all, ask yourself, who's saying this? Is this bias? If it's a question about, let's say, the decision to declare independence, and the guy is totally talking trash about how awful Britain was, and this is Samuel Adams, the head of the Sons of Liberty, and he doesn't like Britain. He's trying to get people to declare independence. Well, he's probably biased when he's saying Britain's awful. If, however, it's being written by, let's say, some French guy who's just observing what's going on, and he's not really in the fight, and he's not taking sides, well, then he might be less biased, and he's just kind of reporting the facts. So somewhere in the paper you might make mention, when you're using a source, this is written by a patriot who is fighting the revolution, so it's not surprising he thinks it was a good idea to declare independence because he doesn't like Britain. And just make that mention so you know this source might have some bias. And I will look for you to do that once or twice. You don't have to do it with every source, but if it has an influence on the importance of the source, try to work that in as you write the paper. The main thing you want to ask about these things, though, is how does this source help answer the question? So if the question is, was it a good decision to declare independence? As I read this, does this show that America should declare independence? Is this a good philosophy of why they want to be independent? Is it a good example of how Britain is abusing them and they need to get out of this relationship? How is this going to help answer your question? And as you go through the documents, kind of come up with your reasons why it was a good choice or not a good choice to do whatever it is that I'm asking about, and kind of group those documents together. Okay, the next step is going to be, after you've read the documents, kind of figured out what you want to say as your answer, now you're going to write your thesis paragraph. Basically, the way you want to set up your essay is what I would call a 5-paragraph essay. You have a first paragraph. It is your thesis paragraph. Now, I don't care what you learned in English class and all the other creative writing classes you've ever had. This is a short essay, and I don't need your pretty words and your fancy writing and all that. I want you to get to the point and prove your case. So in your thesis paragraph, what I'm looking for here is answer the question straight up. Just, if you want to give me one little introductory sentence because you're so artsy, that's fine. But the main thing I'm looking for in that thesis paragraph is answer the question. So let's say, for instance, you say, all right, America made a good decision in declaring independence. So say, the American colonies made the right choice in declaring independence. That is your thesis statement. You just answered the question. The question was, did they make a good choice? You just answered it. Yes, they did. That's your thesis sentence. It answered the question. Now, obviously, you got to do more. You got to give your reasons why it's a good choice. The next thing you want to do is give me your outline, your reasons why it was or was not a good choice. So, in the next few sentences, list the reasons that this was a good choice or was not a good choice, and list them in the order you're going to cover it in the paper. So, for instance, if you think it was a good choice to declare independence, and I'm going to make up some totally random things here so that you have to do your own work this week, since that's the question we're going to work with. So let's say you decide it's a good choice to declare independence because, 1, America will get candy because we got our independence. Secondly, America will get to drive new cars because we got independence. And thirdly, our Aunt Sally from England won't be bothering us with visits at the holidays if we declare independence. Okay, so those are your 3 things you're going to use as evidence. So that's what's in your thesis paragraph. made your thesis statement, it was a good choice. Then you listed your 3 reasons. We're going to get candy. We're going to get new cars. We don't have to deal with Aunt Sally anymore. That's your outline. That's what I expect in the thesis paragraph. Now, the next 3 paragraphs are going to be devoted to giving the evidence to prove what you just said. Follow the outline you just created. The next paragraph you started with saying that we'll get candy because we declared independence. So now you write a paragraph giving the evidence from the documents that proves that we got candy because we declared independence. And hopefully you've got, a couple of documents that you can give evidence from. Then the next paragraph would be, we get new cars because we declared independence. So that paragraph would be spent proving new cars. Thirdly, you don't have to deal with visits from Aunt Sally. You'll have a paragraph about that. So far you've got 4 paragraphs. You've got your initial paragraph, your thesis, and your outline. You've got 1 paragraph for each of your points. And if you end up having less than 3 points, then you might have a 4-paragraph essay. Or if you have more than 3 points, you got 4 points. So then you have a 6-paragraph essay. But whatever, you have a thesis paragraph, you have a paragraph for each point. And these are short paragraphs giving your facts. In the paper, you do need to document where you got your information. So if I am proving in the 2nd paragraph about candy, from document 3, it said that Charles Hershey was an American patriot. And because we won the revolution, he was handing out Hershey bars to everyone in Thanksgiving for our victory. So you would say, all right, that was document 3. So when you say Charles Hershey gave everyone Hershey bars, at the end of that sentence you put parentheses, doc 3, Hershey's letter, or whatever it was. And you'd put that in the body of your paper showing what document you got it from. You don't have to come up with a bibliography page. You don't have to do any fancy footnoting. Just parenthetical referencing in your paper. Whenever you quote a document, tell what document number it was so I know which document you're quoting. Be sure you do that, and I'll give you examples in the instructions, so be sure you read the instructions. Finally, you have a conclusion paragraph. You just sum up. Nothing new here. So in your concluding paragraph, repeat your thesis. America made the right choice, declaring independence. Then repeat your main supporting points. As we have seen, we got candy, we got new cars, we don't have to deal with Aunt Sally anymore. And that's your concluding paragraph. It's that simple. You don't introduce some new idea, otherwise you have to prove some new idea. So basically, the first paragraph and last paragraph are very similar copies of each other. And that's what you're going to do on your paper. All in all, it's about a 1-page paper. I'll give you an example of what a 5-paragraph essay looks like in the instructions so you can see kind of how you build a case point by point. So I think that sums up the paper the best I can. This week, read the instructions, do the practice analyzing documents, do the practice writing your thesis paragraph. I'll give you feedback on both of those. Email me if you have questions. Next week, you'll use your Respondus browser and monitor. You'll log in like it was a test. You'll read the documents I give you and the question I give you. And then you'll have 2 hours to write a short essay answering that question, was it a good choice or a bad choice, and giving evidence why it was good or why it was bad. Again, be sure you email me if you have any questions. Have a good week.